Good evening and welcome to the Upset Podcast. Tonight we are talking about holy walls, hidden pain. Coming up next. Once again, welcome back to the Upset Podcast. We are so happy that you tuned in to this Sunday evening's broadcast, and I am happy that I am not here all alone. I'm here with some really great people. There they are. Hey guys.
Hey everyone.
Oh, is that me too? Am I one of the great people?
You're counted among the great ones, Tally. You are.
We gotta think about that one.
How's everybody?
Doing good, girl. I'm tired. It's all day.
I know, right?
Me.
I kept saying it all day yesterday that October felt like one long day. Like I literally do not remember any breaks at all. It was just literally 1st to 31st, and then November slipped up in there too. So
I had the employees meeting, and then we didn't get a break. We went right into the family life training certification, which was 3 days. I left there 12 something, had to come home and rushed work on tonight. Yeah. So I didn't feel my hour like I wanted to. You know,
that extra hour that we got.
I don't.
Maybe you'll feel it if you go to bed a little early or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we expected so much that it.
I think it's time for them to get rid of the switch.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
I wouldn't mind it.
I do like when I wake up and it's like daylight. I mean, I do like waking up with it not being completely like dark at 6 o'clock. I do.
Yeah, I do too. But
I feel a little disoriented anytime. Like whenever it's an hour ahead or behind, for some reason, I just feel a little disoriented.
Yeah, it takes a little while to adjust.
Yeah.
For sure.
And man, you know, I'm telling you the truth. I used to jack up on Friday.
Beg your pardon?
I used to really jack up on Fridays. You know, after leaving work, I'm trying to get gas, and oh man, the sun is set. Shoot, because it's getting dark at 4:30. Right? Yeah. So it's like, man, you got to start preparing for Sabbath right now. Do it right now.
Yeah, you know, that preparation day thing is real. You know. Getting ready on Thursdays, you know.
Yeah.
I can never do it, but you know, it's
a great goal.
The trick is to do what Novella does, and that is when you go to the supermarket after sunset, carry some tracts with you. You know.
Then you can. Yeah, I got that. You double blessing, getting what you need.
Make it purposeful while you're there, right?
Yeah. I love that. So a lot has happened since we were last together in this world in which we live. Well, first of all, we know the government shutdown is still going on. Was it 32 days?
Into its second month now, yeah.
And I think they said this is the second longest. What'd you say, Marlene?
What do you guys think about that? Do you think the Dems should give in and
end
it? Or you think they should keep holding?
You know, the Republicans anticipate that the Democrats will give in because of their typical inclination toward humanitarian stances, and the Republicans are willing. Basically, they're saying we're going to cut your insurance and make you pay triple and quadruple for it, and if you don't let us do it, we're going to take your food. I mean, it is a horrible situation, and their position is we won't talk to you until you give in to us. That's just.
It's wickedness.
Yeah, it is. That's Hitlerian.
Very painful.
Even when you go to the White House site, I just still think it's crazy that it says Democrats have shut down the government. Like it says that under this clock. It's like
when you're a baby, these are things you do. This is baby stuff.
Like, this is the White House website.
Yeah, those are things children do, you know?
Yeah. And
then they said that we're going to make changes that cannot be reversed with, many of the
with the
Democratic.
jobs and programs.
Yeah.
Yes, like the Affordable Care Act, you get rid of it, it'll be hard to get that back in place, and so
Right.
they really these are sad times.
Yeah, and I know even with the SNAP benefits, looking at what some states are already doing to kind of counteract um, that threat. I'm seeing. I'm happy that states are stepping up to say,
Yeah.
we're going to make sure we can take care of our people, and no one will go without. That's good to know. Even individuals, organizations, churches are doing the same.
Mhm.
And it's encouraging to see that even though our government right now seems to not be prioritizing the people are taking care of the people right now.
Listen to your government. In the middle of a government shutdown, we can't afford to run the government, but we can afford to tear down the White House to build a party hall.
Yeah, I was like, what about timing? Like, how inappropriate is that timing right now?
We can't afford to say we're going to give $20 billion to Argentina. I mean, this president is he is beyond evil now. He is approaching wickedness.
Approaching. I think he's already there, Tally. He's already when you can take from people without a care, then and those who are needy, they have a severe need of it, and you don't care.
Yeah.
And I heard him say, don't give in. Y'all stand strong to the Republican Party. And so none of them are moving. And I'm going, Jesus, help us.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, the Speaker of the House will not seat the latest elected member of Congress, because that means that they would have the additional vote that they need to release the Epstein tapes. But I know that's not what we're here to talk about.
Something's going on.
I saw an article last night that he wants to bomb or shoot up Nigeria because, I don't know anything about this Islamic part, but saying the Islamic leaders are killing Christians, and if they don't stop it, that he's going to go in there and shoot them up, the Nigerians. I didn't know anything about that part. Did y'all hear anything about this Islamic thing or whatever?
I did not.
Yeah, I saw some article, and then one of my leaders was telling me he don't care about no Christians. He just wants to go firing some guns, right? Yeah. And I could see that, right? Yeah. I could see it. Now he must have a twist in there that he is trying to quote unquote help Christians, right? Maybe there's some kind of link to what we're doing here that it'll show. I don't know what it is, but he has to have something in his mind where it would benefit him. There's no way he could be doing it just
some altruistic gesture. Yeah.
Well, and you don't want to go over there and lick no shot on Nigerians. I don't see it. You want to do it to no Nigerians. I don't see it. It's not.
Keep an eye on the governor of Maryland, Wes
Moore.
Yeah. And keep an eye on the president of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore. I mean, those are two black men in this world that you want to keep your eye on.
You heard it here first.
All right.
Of course, we were talking a little earlier about Hurricane Melissa that has come in with the vengeance through the Caribbean. Of course, devastating Jamaica, some portions of Cuba, Haiti. And so we have been watching. I know many of us have been watching, and a large portion of our constituency has relatives from all of those islands, as we know. And so we've been kind of checking in. For the large majority, we're happy to say that there may have been some loss of property for the most part from those that I've heard from. Most have been able to locate their relatives. Everyone is safe. So we're praising God
Amen.
for that. Yet we still know that, you know, that's devastating to be, to have your home, the roof ripped off of your home, and not be able to have access to certain resources. And so we are, even as a conference, kind of pulling together to be able to send. Right now, they're asking for finances. We always want to go into that mode of providing clothes and things of that nature, but right now,
better to send money.
Yeah,
money travels faster, further,
exactly.
and is more effective when it gets to where it's going.
Exactly.
So keep your ratty old coats and your pants that you keep those at home, and take those to Goodwill and send money over to our friends in Jamaica.
Reputable sources, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or directly to a conference down there, or directly to people that you specifically know on the ground. That is the key.
Yeah.
So their monetary institutions are still working fine, even though everything is down.
Not everything.
Everything's not down. Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, just certain areas were hit worse than others. And I saw a number of people who went there for like weddings and other things, who thought they were going to be flying back and ended up staying, having to stay over, much longer, a week. So
yeah, because they got all those resorts there.
Yeah.
So
some people were there and
stuff. I had a childhood friend who was there for a family reunion and had to weather the storm out in a hotel. It was terrible. Very, just scary. The sound of a hurricane and the sights of it is going to do a mental job on people.
Yeah. Traumatizing.
It's very much. I can only imagine.
Oh, yes.
Hello, Aline. Thanks for joining us, and everyone else. All right, guys. Well, last month we were talking about how October, there are so many awareness awareness items. What do we call it? Awareness
days?
Days. Yeah. October was Pastor Appreciation. It was breast cancer awareness. It was bullying, anti-bullying,
dwarfism.
Not to mention Pastor's Appreciation. Did I say that already?
Yes.
Yeah. Dwarfism.
Really?
Dwarfism.
I didn't know they had a month. I mean, a week or a day or
a month. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was also Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and because there were so many weeks and things that we weren't able to get to in October, but we definitely I've always committed to bringing awareness to domestic violence on the Upset podcast, and so even though it's November, we still feel it is appropriate. That's right at the top there. And we know that domestic violence does not only happen in 1 month, and awareness is necessary pretty much year long. But we definitely wanted to honor our commitment to bring this topic before everyone today. And so, Dr. Dubrow, we're going to turn it over to you to introduce the topic this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Taj. Hello, family and friends out there. I am always willing to do this topic as it is very sensitive to me. I am a survivor of domestic violence, and I am thankful to God that I'm here today. And I'd like to share and strengthen people, men and women, who have been victims or who still may be going through. And we just want to share a little bit with you to help educate us on what's happening in the church so that we can be better supporters of those who are suffering. Most of the time it is kept silent. I know I never told anyone, right? But when it is known, right, we want to be supportive of the people and make sure we share the right things. So the question or the statement is holy walls, but hidden pain. All right. It's a true story. I was told this of the sister of one who was a victim of domestic violence. Both of them were Seventh-day Adventist Christians, the husband and the wife. And the husband had became very violent to the wife. As a matter of fact, both of them were pastors' children. And the husband was beating on the wife pretty severely for a good while, even in front of the children. And even after much encouragement, she finally decided to leave the home and he threatened her if she did a particular thing that, he would attack her. So he happened to go to jail. His mom gets him out of jail. The weekend prior to this occurrence, the wife had gone to pick up a check. I think she was trying to get her monies to relocate out of state to escape. And as she was sitting in her car, just about to leave, he drives up, um, prevents her somehow from leaving, gets out of the car, goes to the car, shoots her 3 times, kills her. She's got 2 children in the back seat. He shoots at the kids. There is another woman on the other side. She jumps out of the car, grabs the kids out to protect them, and screams for help. They were strong Adventist families. Second story is this one that I read, and it talks about this woman. She sang in the choir, worked in children's ministries, and was a faithful member of the prayer team at her church. Her husband also sang in the choir, was involved in men's ministry, and was well liked by gentlemen. They were a middle-class family and strong supporters of the church. On the surface, they appeared to be a highly Christian family that was functional and looked good to everybody, right? The lady who's telling this story says, I can remember the day I met her over 25 years ago. The lady was crying uncontrollably. Her body was bruised. Her wrists were red from the ropes her husband had used to tie her to the bed. Her story sounded like something out of a Hollywood movie, not a respected church family member. Sadly, the pastor dismissed the allegations, concluding that this was just an emotional woman who was not credible, and he inferred that she must have done something to incite her husband's anger against her.
Wow.
She had submitted to his authority. This never would have happened. God does not sanction, this is the reporter or the teller of the story says, God does not sanction abuse or the dehumanization of his creation. As followers of Jesus Christ, we are to respect and honor one another. Amen. I hope you're saying amen to that.
Amen.
What exactly is domestic violence? National Domestic Violence Hotline defines abuse as patterns of coercive behavior used to maintain control in an intimate relationship. Using this definition, we can better understand not only is it physical abuse, but also emotional, verbal, financial, sexual, and spiritual abuse. I know you're all very common. You all know that very well, but let me tell you how we do spiritual abuse. We use the scriptures to tell people that it's not right for them to leave their spouse. They need to go back and pray and trust God to work it out, right? We tell them God doesn't want us to divorce, right? He don't want you leaving. He wants you to stay there. And that is what spiritual abuse does. It is so much more than black eyes and broken bones. It is also intimidation, manipulation, humiliation, isolation, threats, insults, force, and even using scripture against another person. Causes in the church. I was reading several of these articles. Some of it makes pretty good sense to me, but you can decide what you think about it. Some abusers seek gentle women in church intentionally. I was reading this article that said domestic abusers have admitted that church is the best place to find a gullible, timid, complacent wife.
Mercy.
Abusers know all they have to do is fake an interest in spirituality, say the right things, and get involved at church. Young women are taught to value strong male leadership and to watch for men who are committed to God. Then, due to the encouragement of short engagements, these girls are married long before they realize it was all a ruse, only to be told it's too late and marriage is forever. Have mercy.
Crazy.
Also, domestic violence advocates have asserted that targets of abuse are chosen for particular qualities. This is where the teachings of the church come into play. When we teach that girls must be passive, submissive, gentle, and meek, we are removing or suppressing their God-given internal protection. When we teach that boys must always physically taking charge and suppress their emotions, we are ignoring the New Testament teachings about servant leadership. The first being last and the last being first. This is the fact that even the fact that Jesus wept, right? Jesus showed emotions. That we teach our boys not to, I wonder, where did that come from? I don't know if it was from slavery. Got to figure that out. But we teach our sons not to be human, so they don't show emotions, and so we know emotions are going to come out. Sometimes it comes out with anger. All right. Statistics of domestic violence in the church. It is pretty much the same as the world. I saw studies that show 1 in 4 women, some say 1 in 3, and then 1 out of 9 men experience severe abuse from a partner.
Wow.
Statistics show that 20 people per minute are physically abused. Domestic violence hotlines receive more than 20,000 calls per day.
Wow.
In the year 2000, 1,247 women were killed by an intimate partner, where 440 men were killed by an intimate partner, according to the U.S. Department of Justice. Here is the other article that said 1 out of 3 women will be victims of domestic abuse in their lifetime, and this statistic does not change in the church. In fact, our survey of nearly 200 Christian women revealed that 85% of them were married to men who claimed to be Christians. And from that number, nearly 30% of these men served in ministry. 22% had seminary training. Lord help us, Jesus, right? So what has been the church's response to domestic violence? I remember, because everyone thought that, we were a great couple at church too. They thought we were just one of the best couples. And most of our fights were Sabbath morning before church. And my ex-husband was very quiet, but it always appeared very, very nice, right? And so I heard the sermon preached by my pastors, and some of you married too quickly and you married mean husbands. Well, shame on you. Now you're stuck with them.
What?
I was like, I'm stuck. And that was, I felt that I was stuck. And it was sometime after that, because it reaches your psyche. Sometime after that was when I went out one night wanting someone to kill me. I couldn't do it anymore. And I just felt stuck, because in your head as a Christian, you're praying that God delivers you. You know that divorce is terrible, and you feel like a failure, right? Like, God, why me? Why did this happen to me? And so that was my response. This is Brittany's response. They told me God hates divorce, and I'll go to hell if I break up my home. This other woman says, and when she went to their church for guidance, she was advised to hang in there and maintain her household. Another woman says, I have spoken to many victims and survivors of abuse who said their church's response to their abusive marriage encouraged them to stay, pray, and submit.
Submit.
None of these survivors have reported that staying and praying cured their abusive marriage. Just doesn't happen. So how can churches really support victims, right? Well, this one article says, do not do any of these things. Do not advise her to stay and pray and allow God to work it out. Do not meet with her and her spouse or partner together. There's intimidation, right? You say something, I'm going to get you when we get home, right? Do not tell her to keep the abuse a secret. All right? It's not a family secret. You got to tell somebody, right? Do not suggest to her what has worked for you. Ain't saying. And ultimately, do not blame the victim. Lord have mercy. Because she hasn't changed her abuser's behavior. Somebody told me it was my fault because I never called the police.
What?
Lord help us. That's what somebody told me. All right. Another article said to do this, take seriously what the alleged victim is telling you. Right? You remember the earlier story that I said the pastor didn't believe the woman, but believed the husband. Take seriously what someone's saying. Build a rapport with community resources that work in the area of domestic violence so that you have a support system to recommend to your church family. If the danger is imminent, or there is one incident or a history of domestic violence, encourage the person to call the police. If she or he is injured or has bruises, encourage the individual to see his or her doctor or go to the hospital ER so that the injuries can be treated and documented by a professional. Then plan ahead, be proactive and not reactive. Already know, resources and places of safety that your church members can go to. And then pray for your member only as a moment of comfort, but not the only solution. Some people just pray about it, right? How does God see domestic violence? When people tell them to stay, and I heard a woman, the story of a woman. She was told to stay. She had many children, and she went back, and her husband killed her. Now I can't imagine how those people felt who told her to stay. But that is not what God wants you to do. I was reading this, prophet Jeremiah said that to know God is to uphold justice for the oppressed. God says to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, right? And God is a lover of justice. He hates oppression. That's why we have, Isaiah 61 and Luke 4, when he says, he came, right, to take away oppression, right, to bring a recovery of sight to the blind, right? He came to set those who were captives free, right? And so we have to remember who Jesus is. Jeremiah 22 was talking about injustice. I just did one scripture. It says, woe to him who builds his house by unrighteousness and his chambers by injustice, who uses his neighbor's service without wages and gives him nothing for his work. There were several examples of injustice. Ecclesiastes 4:1 says, then I returned and considered all the oppression that is done under the sun, and look, the tears of the oppressed, but they have no comforter. On the side of their oppressors there is power, but they have no comforter. Proverbs 11:29 says, he who troubles his own house will inherit the wind. All right. Ephesians 5:28 says, so husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. No one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as the Lord does the church. And people, they love to talk about this scripture when they're talking about women submitting to their husbands. But God has a message in there for husbands to love their wives. Verse 33 says, nevertheless, let each one of you in particular so love his own wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband. Mark 12. And this is what God calls for all of us as Christians to do. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. This is the first commandment. And the second is like this, that you love your neighbor as yourself. Who is my neighbor? Your wife, your husband, your children, your church family, right? Those in your community, they are all your neighbors. God says to love your family member as you love yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. Now, us as Adventists, we're big on the 10 commandments, but we skip this right here of loving one another as we love ourselves. This is some information for you. The National Domestic Violence Hotline. This is the number. And then if you want information, a good site that we have through the North American division is End It Now, where our church is teaching to stop the violence. As we have seen before, statistically, some of our very elders, Sabbath school superintendents and leaders, pastors are abusers. And so we as a church, we want to stop the violence, all right? Lastly, to my people, I want to ask you these questions, and certainly to you who are online, you can help us. What can we do in our local churches to stop the violence and support the victims? Because let me tell you what's really dangerous at this time. People choose sides.
Mm-hmm.
And if they really love the abuser, and it's fine. I mean, it's wonderful to love both people. But don't shun the other person as if their story is not relevant when you didn't live in the house. Did you hear me? When
Mhm.
you don't live in the house, you have no idea what's going on. I meant to print out or to add the characteristics of an abuser. So I just want to read a few of them real quick. You won't be able to see them, but I can see them. All right. Characteristics of abusers. 80% were abused as children or saw their mothers abused. They blame partners for their abusive behavior. They place unrealistic expectations on partners in order to feel good about themselves. They are jealous and possessive of partners. They tend not to trust other people, therefore, tend not to share inner world with others. They have limited or no social network. You know, some people are very quiet to themselves. Their partner is the closest person they know. They are highly emotionally dependent on the partner. They're subject to depression known only to their family. They tend to express all negative feelings as anger. They have low self-esteem. They get needs met by control, such as violence and threats. They may threaten suicide if the partner leaves. They're
Mhm.
presented across all socioeconomic, educational, racial, age, and ethnic groups. They can be anybody. They can be very pleasant, listen to me, very pleasant outside of the home and very unkind at home. They are frequently demanding and aggressive in sexual behavior. They hold very traditional, stereotypical views of male female roles and relationships. They lack sympathy for partners' physical and emotional pain, and they tend to minimize and deny the abuse. They will say she is lying or he is lying. They will say that because they deny that there is really something going on with them.
Mm.
What are your views on instructing a victim to return to the violent partner? And then how would you counsel your own daughter or your son who was a victim of domestic violence? Hmm.
Mm.
Well, my panel, my partner there, those are three questions. We want to
Mm.
start with you.
Okay.
What would you say? What say ye? As Tally said.
What say you one? What say you all?
What say you all?
Well, I first just kind of respond to the first question I saw that Michelle put in the chat, that she told her story of abuse and made herself vulnerable to the church so that others going through it would have someone that they might trust to be able to tell it. Trust to tell their story. Someone, I do think the more people who have maybe been a victim and have come out on the other side who share at church, and we create spaces where people can do that,
Mhm.
can be a beacon. I know everyone may not be comfortable with doing that,
Mhm.
but those who are, like you, Marlena, and even as Michelle said, I think that is definitely a way to kind of help individuals who have fear about not being believed, or fear that somebody's going to tell them they need to stay. Having that in the church setting adds another layer of, okay, maybe this is someone who can really understand where I'm coming from and give me help. I want to be where they are now on the other side of this abuse. So I definitely
Mhm.
think that's one way the church can kind of help move this in the right direction.
Mhm.
I've always. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Novella.
I was gonna say, can you repeat the question? Because I was
Right.
still thinking about all the scenarios and the statistics you asked. So, what are your views on instructing a victim to return home to a partner you counsel your daughter or son? Okay, thank you.
You
Tally,
know,
you go.
yeah, I've always admired Marlena's courage and being willing to share it, because there is a sense of shame of when people say, "Oh, you are, quote, a victim of." It's, you know, and so, Marlene, I want to tip my hat to you for sharing it.
Yeah.
But the other part that I find very instrumental in helping people is most people think that victims of abuse or people who have been abused, they have no backbone, that they're timid by nature. Nobody would perceive that Marlena is. They don't see Marlena as timid, and so that shows that it's not simply a matter of your own personality. It's the fact that you're in a relationship where you're trying to protect someone. I mean, that's your husband. That man reflects your choice, and you're trying to you're trying to protect the choice that you have made and the person that you're trying to love. And like somebody told me once, you cannot defend and love at the same time. And so it puts you in a situation where you're not, if I own my own pain and victimization, then I am hurting and putting at risk the person that I'm trying to love. And my love is not changing him. So maybe I should double down and try to love them more. I can only imagine what you went through, but I mean, I really respect the fact that you share it. More importantly, I really deeply respect the fact that you were able to emerge from it. But I want to ask you a question. When you look back at your former husband, this person, do you see them as a bad person?
That's tough, Talent. I can say I mean, I saw him as a mean person, very mean. I mean, if I could share with you the things that were done to me, they were cruel, and I mean, even when I protected myself, he took the screwdriver and took the whole lock off the door, so that I could not be safe, and I see him as a cruel person, but I knew that there was something emotionally wrong with him. When they say that the abusers are, children of abusers, right? And so I said, well, is it his dad? His dad always seemed very, very nice. But I left 4 times in 2 years and 10 months. So when the third time I left, I stayed with his parents, and his dad said, I never taught you to be like that. Where did that come from? So I was like, well, that don't sound like the dad, would do that, who did it. And so I was just confused as to where he learned the behavior, right? And so after I left the last time and I refused to go back, then he was admitted to a psych hospital for a little time. And so, but for me, I never talked to him again after that, because there's something in me that I can endure a lot and take and take and take. But at some point, when I'm pushed too far, there's something in me that says no more. And once I say no more, I told the pastor, because the pastor called me. He contacted the pastor the last time I left, and the pastor says, well, your husband called me and he says you left him and he would like me to talk to you. And I said,
he left out some details, however.
I told the pastor, I said, sir, no disrespect to you, but the only way I will go back to that man is if Jesus writes it on the wall. And I read that story one time in the Bible. I've never seen it again. So I don't think that's going to happen. So when I got to the office and I told the pastor, I'm going to tell you everything. And when I finished, he says, my goodness. And this is the same one that said, if you marry, right, a mean person, shame on you, you stuck with them. He says, you got married and you ended up with a huge punishment. He says, I cannot tell you to go back there. And so I appreciate that, because I wasn't going anyway, but I appreciated that.
I wanted to change the sermons after that.
I want people to hear. I mean, the question that Marlena was answering was, do you consider your ex-husband a bad person? And how difficult it was to work through that. And this is one of the problems that people have when they're in abusive relationships. It is hard to, everybody can tell you he's no good, leave, but it's a murky picture. It's you can't, you look at them and you say, okay, they're not, 360 days out of 365 days, he didn't do this. Is he a bad person? And so you're running through your mind all of the different permutations as to who this person is, who they can be in their in their best mood. It is a hard decision to make for people.
Absolutely.
And because it's your intimate partner, Tally, and it's the same. I mean, you're going to church together,
Yeah.
and you're worshiping together, and then they cry. They're so sorry every time. I'm not going to do it again. They're so sorry, and you want to believe them.
Yeah.
You want to, but emotionally it beats you down. And I became a victim of the battered women syndrome. I had it. I had it. I mean, you see me strong now. I was strong before. And so that's why when it first started, I fought back. Then I kept getting beat up. So I said, you know what? Maybe let me choose another option of just giving in, But it beat me down terribly because that's the premise, because it's a control thing.
Absolutely.
And so they beat you down so that they can have total control over you. And so when you get tired of fighting, and I can say that I didn't want to be divorced. You see stories of people whose spouse was alcoholic or something, years ago, and then now they're the preacher of the church, right? And so then they got this ministry where they were helping other couples because they came from a bad place, but their marriage survived it. And I thought that was going to be my story, but it was not. So.
Thank you for sharing that. Rodney reminded us of something that we had shared previously, one of the ideas that churches can do. And that was to continue to put like the number that you shared, Marlena, for domestic violence on the screen in the bulletin. These are things that are in places consistently that remind people that this is a place they can call. This is a place for shelter or help. So I wanted to bring that back up as another option. Churches, that's something you can the clerk can just have in the bulletin. It's just something that stays there, or also something that is part of your circulation of announcements as well. Thank you for
outside of October.
Yes, so it's year round.
That's right.
Yes, year round.
But can I also ask you guys this, and I'm gonna share this first before I go to my question. In my research, this was a great idea, that when you are doing marital counseling, and I think Mr. Williams said that when he is teaching his children about dating, if anybody hits you, you got to report that, right? Say to the couple at that time, if anything happens, domestically, any type of violence and any type of abuse, right? Doesn't have to just be physical, because a lot of things happen in church. It is, emotional and verbal. They beat you down so badly that you no longer can see your own value, right? And then we go to church and pray and act like we're so holy, teach Sabbath school, when you just beat down your family member, which is why many of our children leave church and no longer come back, right? And so if we could do that during counseling. But my question to you, especially you, Tally, being a man, if it was your daughter, what would you tell her?
And she was being abused by the person that she's in intimate partnership
her husband.
with.
Yeah, her husband.
I would be there to help her pack. And my great fear would be that I might injure the person who abused her. I don't have a temper, but I have a strong sense of justice. And if you mess with someone in my family, you can find yourself canceling Christmas really quickly, because I have very short views about that, and so it wouldn't be an issue.
And Tally, that was one of my issues. My dad, I knew, would kill that man.
Yeah.
And I wanted to protect my father because I didn't want him to go to jail. So can you imagine that weight? So I figured it's better for me to take than to have my father go to jail. So it is so many layers of complication.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking about my daughters and my husband.
Yeah.
And I don't see that ending well for the spouse.
Yeah, it could go bad. But at the heart of a lot of religious people are abusers as much as anybody, and at the heart of that abuse is a fear of a loss of control.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And because religion tells us we must be in control
Mm-hmm.
of our feelings, of our household, and that fear of a loss of control at times leads to an unbalanced use of force and power. How responsible are we for creating an atmosphere that often pushes people to think that I've got to maintain control, whether it's your children or your spouse? I've got to maintain control at the no matter what the cost. I can't let you do this. You're not leaving this house. I had that happen recently where a wife wanted to do something. The husband picked up a gun
Mm-hmm.
and said, you can't, if you pick up that phone, he said something bad's going to happen, that kind of veiled threat. So how do we change that atmosphere?
Yeah. And Charlie, when a person decides to leave, they're at the height of danger right there.
Yeah.
They can be murdered
Well, that's because
or a family member.
yeah.
You say you going to help your daughter, right? He come in and kill all of y'all.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I had him in one of my churches. The wife called. I went there. The husband's there, and he was talking just like we're talking now. And he said, "This is my wife, and I know sometimes I don't do what's right, but if anybody comes between me and my wife, I'll kill him. I got a gun right in this drawer, and I don't care who it is. It could be you, Pastor. If you come between me and my wife, I'll kill you." And
wow.
I made a covenant with God. I said, if he moves in the direction of that drawer, I'm going to hit him so hard that his children yet unborn will feel it.
Yep.
Because I was not going to die at the hands of this fool.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's very difficult. Like as I'm sitting here right now, the amount of thoughts and stories and times, as pastors, we get a lot of scenarios that come up. And I'm sitting, and it's like all of them are rushing through my mind. I've done several domestic violence funerals. And that, I shouldn't have to say several, right? And I'm just sitting here like, some of them tried desperately, what I'm saying, to went through the process of the police part. And, it was terrible. And I remember standing at one funeral and an older lady saying to a younger lady as we're standing over the casket, "This could have been you." Encouraging that younger lady that, hey, you got out and you got away from that guy. Never forget that it could have been you, right? Trying to build up inside of them, not to have a tolerance for anything that leans towards that. Again, I mean, that individual was told stuff like, well, you're married. This is what you signed up for.
Oh, my goodness.
Right?
I don't understand.
So it's like all of these things are rushing through my mind right now. And the problem is there's a mentality that the abuser has, and the person who is the victim may be strong. But if they keep staying around the abuser, they start to take on what Marlena talked about with what was it? The
battered wife syndrome.
The battered wife syndrome. You start to try to make provisions in your heart and in your mind, and you want it to turn out like Marlena said. You want it to turn out like that couple over there that survived this or that, and now they're mentors for others. And hey, if that's to happen, let it happen later. But right now, you got to get your hips out of danger. It doesn't matter if you walk out the door with nothing. You got to go. One of my girlfriends was in a situation. It wasn't domestic physical, right? But it was domestic everything else by way of violence. And I said, so when are we meeting at the house with your parents and the U-Haul? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm ready to dress up in black in the middle of the night, And so her family took care of it. They rolled up with the U-Haul and brought some man that they knew to help out. You know what I'm saying? Because it's this or that. And this is better than that any day. So yes, there's a loss. People say, no, I'm not leaving because I don't want to lose out on everything I built. Really? You don't want to lose your life. You don't want to lose your mind.
Right.
And when I was going through, guys, this was the early 90s. So think about how evil the world is now, where they kill you and your family, or they kill you and themselves.
Right.
And so when I saw this true story of this one woman who was really trying to get away, and she had gotten away and she was staying with her friends, and the police knew it. Dude called the police and said, I am going to kill her. He called the police and told them. He goes to the house where she is staying for shelter. He kills her and then kills himself.
Yep.
And so
they always say that men use violence and force so that they can keep the woman forever. You know, I kill you, nobody else can have you. I've got you now all to myself. And that women use violence and force to get rid of the man forever. You know, leave me alone. Now you won't bother me anymore. But let me ask you a scenario, a biblical scenario. I want you ladies to tell me, is this abuse? A man has the biggest celebratory day in his life. His name is David. He comes into the city, dancing, having himself a whale of a time. The women of the city see him dancing in just that linen robe, and they are noticing everything that David was blessed with. And they are just cheering and swooning. And the woman who loved him first, and maybe loved him best, Michal, you know, she had always thought that he was her first love, and she sees him, and now remember, Michal was his first wife, but by the time they're together now, she is his seventh wife, and no children by him. She has no place. She feels a sense of deep loss and regret. She lost her family coming back to this man, and now she sees him cavorting out in the streets with all these women. And she said the wrong thing to him. And David said to her, yeah, I did it, and I'll do more than that. And from that day forward, she lived a cloistered life. He never touched her again. And she was no longer his wife. Was that abusive to her? Tune in next week, everybody.
It was abandonment for sure.
Was it abusive?
Emotionally, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, y'all hedging y'all bets, boy.
Well, because
three women who were real sure a few minutes ago.
No, I'm just.
I tell you, I know it when I sees it.
You know.
Emotionally.
Yeah, I think that was.
So now we're qualifying abuse now, huh?
Yeah,
No,
it was emotional abuse. It's the type.
Types of abuse.
So what do we do with David in this situation? Tune in next week, ladies and gentlemen.
Look, you know what, Charlie, God did not call it a sin to him. The only sin he said David committed was the murder, the sleeping with Bathsheba, and the murder of her husband. He never even said that.
Those are the only sins that were listed. No, when he numbered Israel, it was a sin.
Well,
David did a whole lot of sinning.
I was gonna say David was just.
But remember, even when later on in the scripture, he says David committed one sin.
No,
it was never repeated. But
what I ask you, what do we do with David?
What do we do with him?
Because we have people like that in our church all the time. Okay. And what we do with David is we say, what a wonderful man. His wife came out there saying all that stuff after he was just praising the Lord. She got what she deserved, quenching that spirit. That's what we do with David.
But that's the thing. I do think
we validate him.
But that's the thing. I feel like and this is the part we don't like to talk about. And Marlena kind of alluded to that there are some people who can be abusers and be transformed, or have a come to Jesus moment. I do still think in that situation she shouldn't have been with him or whatnot, but that doesn't mean that later on they can't be some type of restorative thing that happens in the abuser's life. But that doesn't mean the person needs to stick around and wait until that happens.
The reason I raised it is because whenever we look at that story, David is we elevate him. We say he was praising the Lord. And we don't look at it from the other end. And we have people like that. The same thing with Jephthah and his daughter. She comes out of the house, and Jephthah said, "Oh, you have brought me low. Lord, look at what you done. You done messed up." And then her life is sacrificed because of her father's rash vow.
But why does he have to keep it? You could have changed it.
I'm not, that's not, the issue is that what we do is we preach how wonderful he was.
But
just like when David was praising the Lord and then he told his wife, you know, how wonderful David was.
Tally, no one is agreeing with you with that story. They don't see it, son.
Well, it's not. I mean, what I'm simply saying, the reason I ask, what do we do with them, is because there are people like David and Jephthah and others who are in our church all the time, and we make them elders because of our strange twist on what looks like religion. That's the only reason I raised it.
Yeah.
Right, but Tally, we're all sinners, so that's all God has to use.
Huh?
We're all sinners, so we don't have anybody else.
Well, look, let me write that down.
Nobody's a saint.
Dear pastors,
we're all sinners saved by grace.
If you have an abuser, if there's an abuser in your church, Marlena says we're all sinners.
What if he was a former abuser recovered? I don't know if that's possible, but what if?
What if who? David?
No,
anybody
was a former abuser, but they're totally spiritually recovered. And that's a question. I don't even know if that's really possible, you know, but
there are people who have, I mean, if you can be a reformed drug addict, and if you can be a reformed alcoholic, and if you can be a reformed gambler, you can be a reformed abuser.
Yeah, I believe.
I mean, grace can recover anybody from anything. And so there are reformed abusers.
Yeah, but
male and female.
Yeah. And I still, you know, even in saying that, I don't want to give someone false hope that if they stay with their abuser, that they may come around. I still think if you're in a place of being abused, you need to separate yourself from that abuse.
Agreed.
Let God work out what he needs to work out with it. Because sometimes women stay because they think God wants them to help work it out.
Change them.
Yeah.
Maybe I can change him.
But love is
help
redemptive. I mean,
God's love.
No, human love. Love covers a multitude of sins. Love is redemptive. I mean, we can't blame a person for trying to love someone to health and wholeness.
Right. But then when you realize.
So should she have packed up and left?
We have to love people safely, right? And so in the case where there's a domestic violence situation and the person does turn around, let's say they do in the future, right? And they get back together, and that's fine. I still agree that the person has to leave the home for safety and love from a distance. You have to, because taking the risk of staying, it's not worth the risk. And it doesn't mean you don't still pray and you don't love. It doesn't mean you stop those things. I just have to do it from a place of
distance.
safety.
Yeah.
You have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And we haven't, I know we don't have much time left, but one of the things we have not discussed too is the impact of abuse on the children who witness their parent, it can be either or, being abused. There's a layer of trauma, particularly for children. I'm not going to say just male, but particularly for male children who watch their mother being abused by the father and feeling very helpless. And, you know, because mothers and sons have a very special bond, and watching the person that you're supposed to model hurt the most precious person to you, and yet you are defenseless and may be at risk for being harmed yourself if should you try to defend, does a lot to children. So I know for some women who are in a situation where they have children, that is one of the reasons why they actually decide to leave at some point, because of the impact they see that it's having on the children. And I think it's so important to minimize as much as possible your children being exposed to that.
So Tosh, would you suggest then that a young man who watches his father abuse his mother, that he would be more likely to be protective of women because of that?
I think in some regards,
the statistics show that males who watch their parents, their father abuse their mothers, are more likely to be abusive
The
themselves.
abusers.
Yeah, I can see that, but I know, like, my husband has talked about his family and his situation. He grew up with domestic violence in his home, and I think for him, it operated the opposite. Super protective of women, and super. I almost see it like I couldn't do it then, so I want to do it now.
And
Kind
look
of
how God gave y'all 2 daughters, girl children.
right. It's like because I had no power as a boy, now I am a man, and I see this as if I see it, I'm hyper vigilant because now I'm in a position where I can do something about it or I can make a change.
I can't wait until you and Andre have 2 sons. I mean,
You'll be waiting a long time. Well, son-in-laws, yes, son-in-laws, yes.
In-laws are
but it is. I remember counseling a guy who was abusive toward his mate. He hated his father. His father was abusive to his mother. And I remember looking at him and saying, so what do you do when you look in the mirror? How do you feel about you? He had not seen himself as he saw his father. He viewed himself in a completely different light. He went on to have counseling and to confront the things that led to his misuse of power. And he is, Marlena, one of those people who was a transformed abuser. I mean, this thing becomes so complicated. And at times we support individuals. And I've seen women support their abusers when the abusers are caught. I mean, because love is redemptive. Love tries to save at all costs. I mean, God loved us so much that even when it looked like we were beyond redemption, he allowed himself to be abused. It's a complex thing.
Recently, I had friend talk to me about her domestic violence situation, and she called police, everything. When she got to court, she said, "Oh, it's not true."
Yeah.
So she was like, I mean, I just didn't want my name associated with his, like, in court and stuff. And I'm listening. I'm like, what else, And so I got down to it with her and said, listen, this is just a symptom of the whole process. This is what a lot of victims do. They back out, they're afraid, etc. I was like, you can't do that. And the court told her, if we find out you're lying, she could get in trouble for that. And so I told her, I said, listen, you just got to tell the truth. She's like, I really don't want this to happen to somebody else, but I'm afraid, I'm afraid. And it's a very, very difficult position where you're so afraid of what happened to you and what they could do to you later, but you still don't want it to happen to somebody else. It's a whole mind. So having strong support around you who will back you physically, spiritually, and emotionally is key.
And I know we always talk a lot about, and I know we don't have time, when we hear domestic violence, we automatically go to the physical abuse. And there's some women and men experiencing the other forms of abuse that you talk about who downplay that abuse because they say it's not as bad as the person putting their hands on me. I don't have access to my bank accounts. I can't spend this or that, but at least he's not hitting me, or at least she's not hitting. I can't make decisions for myself. I'm constantly being emotionally manipulated, but at least they're not putting their hands on me. I hear a lot of situations where that is happening with individuals who don't want to classify it as abuse because it is not physical. And I really think we need to highlight the fact that is still abuse.
Well, yeah. Take a look at what Linda Long just said, and I know we're closing, but I mean, Linda Long, she spoke of Bathsheba being abused. I don't see that anywhere in the record.
She experienced what's that other thing? Bathsheba.
Oh, I know what that thing is.
Is that you talking about that? You got it
I'm talking when oh Jesus, give me that word.
Yeah,
when
police do.
someone of higher authority takes advantage of you. Harassment, sexual harassment. Look, it's the king.
Tell
The
your face.
king who has the
He calls it
authority
rape. He calls it rape.
is sexual harassment. He's the king. He have them bring her to him, and she has to sleep with him because he's the king.
I get
That's
that.
harassment.
I mean,
Harassment.
harassment appears when you are persistently doing something to someone.
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no, no. Even
it
if
was
a
definitely.
person has authority over you, one time occurrence tally.
That's what they talked about at workers meeting. HR was saying.
Yeah, but he put his hands on her. I mean, didn't
No,
stop
I
the
think that's
harassment.
great.
He went from harassment to
Yeah.
I mean, but she
Assault,
was
rape.
that was. No, I mean, the point is that was not her husband. So we're not talking about marital abuse there. And Abigail, she was married to Nabal. Now, having a husband who's an idiot
With the support.
isn't the same as saying that you're abused. I mean, he might be so stupid that it offends you, but I'm not sure I'd call that. I mean, if you come to the office and say, "I'm leaving my husband," why? Because he's stupid. Well,
yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think he rescued Abigail. I don't see that as abuse in her story.
Well, I mean, he died. Abigail. I mean, the boy died when he realized that he had barked up the wrong tree. He croaked.
Mhm.
I mean, and so David did what David always do. David added to the harem. But
The Bible says she was beautiful and smart, so he got some good
I
plus.
mean, it's.
So
But I'm just saying to Linda, I think we have to be careful as to how we, having a stupid husband and an idiotic husband. For example, say your husband gambles and you lose money. Do you call that abuse, or do you call that a husband with a weakness or who's acting stupidly? I guess I'm just saying we have to be careful how we apply the label.
Somebody had said abuse of power, which is what I was trying to think of. That abuse of power changes people's lives because there's a population that goes along with abuse of power that takes advantage of the subordinate.
Yeah. I mean, like when you're trying to frighten, intimidate, kind of manipulate her, like all of these, even blame or humiliate, because there are some people who love to humiliate their spouse.
Oh yeah,
like that.
But that's back to the bullying thing.
Yeah, that's abuse.
Yeah.
All of that.
Abuse. That's abuse.
That's abuse.
Yeah.
But stupidity is not abuse. That's just you married a dumb.
And I also want to bring to everyone's awareness before we leave about teenage domestic violence.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's
your young people, and we've got to teach them. You don't let anyone hit on you, because today, with bullying and all, we make excuses for things. He's so nice, he's so cute, or she, right? And we have to make sure our boys and our girls, our teenagers, right, and our young adults know that it is not okay for anyone to hit you at any time. And you do not stay in a relationship, because they call themselves dating, someone who is beating on you. That is a no-go, is a deal breaker.
Yes. Outside of the physical part, you have to share your location with me. I have to know where you are at.
Yeah.
I told somebody, I said, "What you say?" I said, "No, that's not how it works." I was telling the young person, I said, "That's not how it works. The person should not demand that of you at any point in time. That's the beginning of I'm going to control you."
Right. That is true.
Not with that. Yeah.
In closing, as a man, I cannot imagine myself being in a relationship where I felt the need to hit someone. And God knows. I remember I was talking to a young lady years ago, and she didn't like the fact that I didn't do something she wanted me to do, and she cussed me out. She cussed me out, and I let her cuss me. And I said, you finished? She said, yeah. I said, do me a favor. She said, what? I said, take my phone number and lose it forever.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to her since. Yeah.
Because that could be the beginning.
Yes.
Of abuse for a long time. Yeah.
So that could be the beginning of us walking slow and singing low behind that sister. You're not going to cuss me out. That's just, you know.
You talked about you didn't have any desire to hit anybody, but
I wasn't gonna hit him.
I just want to say, watch out for controlling people.
Yeah.
Right.
Male or female, those are red flags. And who was it, Michelle, that is like me, dealt with this. I don't know, Michelle, if you saw red signs. God showed me red signs. But when you're young, oh God, maybe he'll change, It was never physical, but it was just controlling at
I
the
mean,
beginning. And so, and that controlling is indicative of something. They've got to have control over the relationship.
what does that look like, Marlene? I mean, people telling you what to wear, what to eat, where to go, and when to go.
Yeah.
People do that.
Ooh, I know churches like that.
This ain't that kind of program. Oh my goodness.
Where to go, what to wear, what to eat, when to go. But of course, that's tune in next week, ladies and gentlemen. Well said.
You don't see. Oh yeah, that's
Well
true. Adriana, sometimes you don't see those red flags when you're so busy wearing your rose-colored glasses.
God will always show them. He will always show us signs.
Yeah, and that's why we have to look for it in others around us. I mean, I think it's, if you notice something that looks a little off in a relationship with someone, maybe it could be a church member. There have been some times where I've witnessed a few uncomfortable interactions with people that made me say, I wonder if this person is safe. Because if you're willing to have that type of dialogue in the presence of people, I wonder what it looks like behind closed doors. And so those are the types of things that like kind of put my little radar up to be aware.
I see you, Michelle. I see you. Thank you for sharing too with us. Praying for you, sis.
Break a gift.
She said she saw him break a gift that was for their marriage in a violent way.
That's for sure a sign.
That's a sign.
But just remember, folks, that Marlena said that if you're around people who are trying to control what you eat, what you wear, tell you where to go and when to go,
Tally.
how to think.
Stop,
Tally.
Stop.
We're trying to.
You already know where this is going.
Making you stand up and tell everybody what you're going to do and what you're not going to do, taking all these vows. Oh, wait a minute. I'm thinking of something altogether different here. What am I thinking?
I wanted to put up that
you're going to be blown up. That's what's going to happen.
Oh, gosh.
Before we go, I'm going to put up the domestic violence.
The hotline number.
Hotline, and I know Marlena mentioned earlier about the enditnow.org. That's a great site specific to the Adventist Church.
Information,
that has a lot of resources on there, safe houses, things of that nature. So that in your area you can find places that you can go to get away.
I think in our lives we have to also have that friend or that family member that we are open with and that we can share life with. Someone that we know isn't the judger, but someone we can trust and know that, hey, whatever I tell the person, I know they have my best interest. And then maybe that would help, anybody be able to say even the slightest thing. And they, by God's grace, they could trust that person to just counsel them and give them a open door to safety.
I was thinking, Marlene, we talked about the fact that this past weekend was the family ministries training at the conference office. And, these were family life leaders coming together to learn tools to take back to the local churches. And I'm thinking about this being an area that family life leaders could be intentional about bringing awareness to, being designated as the safe person that people can come to, being equipped with what they need to know to make sure people just need to know there's someone that will believe them.
Yep.
So I think if we can identify as many people who will put it out there, I will believe you. Tell me, I will believe you.
Oh, Marlena, maybe for women's ministries, you can have a "I will believe you" something like a shirt or whatever, and we just like start putting out that truth and that mantra. Someone believes you, so I believe you. So people
That's
know
great.
you could say it to them.
Yeah,
Yes.
you will be
That is
believed.
And,
Yeah.
and any fellas who need believing, you can call me, I guess.
Our statement was for men and women.
No, you said for women.
I don't know if
ministry.
anybody gonna believe
I
that the
heard
way you
you.
said
I
it.
heard
He's
you.
only saying that because of women's ministries.
I know, fellas.
He said, I guess you can call me. I
I'm
don't
open.
know if
I'm
anybody's
open to
gonna
you,
believe
fellas. I believe you. Call me. Call a brother.
Yes, but
Amen.
all right, thank you all. Thank you so much, Marlena, for sharing this.
Thanks,
Good,
Marlena, for your
good
vulnerability.
stuff, yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing.
Yes.
Those who shared in the comments. This is definitely a subject we don't want to take lightly. We recognize it's happening even in our church, within our church walls, and we want to continue to bring awareness to it. Let's stop this, guys. Like, come on, there's too much going on.
This far and no further.
Love, as we love yourself and your children. Love yourself. Don't let anybody mistreat you.
Yes, that's right. Oh, I'm sorry. I saw another comment, but yes, I do believe that this exists. There's an organization, I think, that will work with you to take you in the middle of the night. I mean, they have the whole plan for you where you're going to
I've never heard of that. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it was like, I mean, okay, it wasn't on Lifetime, but it was based on a true story of someone that's how they got away. They reached out to this organization and they planned. It took weeks, but they planned everything down to a T. And the family, because it was a mother and her 2 children, they were able to get away discreetly, and they covered everything and
Thank
helped
you,
them.
Adriana. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing that, and hopefully that's something you can look up.
Amen.
All right. Once again, everyone, we're praying that you have a great week. Oh, and I never do this, and I'm sorry. Our gala, our 80th gala, is coming up in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks now, November the 15th. And the reason I'm bringing up is because tomorrow is the last day to purchase tickets. So I wanted to put out there as much as possible that if you are planning to come to our 80th gala, that please purchase your tickets by tomorrow. That's visit aec.org/gala, whatever you call it. Someone told me they call it gala. So that you don't miss out, because this is it. The cutoff is this week, giving the hotel the numbers. So once it's set, it's set. So join us. We're going to have a great time. We're going to laugh. We're going to enjoy some great tributes.
And Dorothy Corley backs it up. Thank you, Dorothy.
Okay. Yeah. Now we got everybody going back to read this story tonight, which is great.
We know that she was in the wrong. Yeah, it's told wrong.
What'd you say? What'd you say?
It was told that she was in the wrong.
Okay, I thought you said we know that she's in the wrong. No.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Micah.
Yeah.
Michael. I think they call him Michael.
Yeah, I'm going to read it again. All right, everyone. Have a blessed week.
Yep.
All right, everybody.
See you guys
next
time.
Good job, Marlena. Take care, everybody.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
Be safe.
Blessed week.
Yes, and we will believe you. Just want to end with that.
Call me, fellas. Call me.